Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now. It is Friday, December 2nd. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, ready to break down the Friday slate. 3 games on tap tonight. Before we do that, though, we always like to look back on the big slate of Thursday when it's a shorter card on the Friday, and we had a big night of action last night. Nashville Predators, let's start with them because they were the surprise of the night, if you will. A 4-3 overtime win against New Jersey, and that recent dominance over the New Jersey Devils comes to the forefront last night for the Nashville Predators in that game. They had done a great job head-to-head against New Jersey, albeit this totally different and better and improved Devils team this season, but still found a way to win. Very impressive. They actually got off to a terrific start, 2-0, and then blink and you missed it. 3 quick goals early in the second period from the New Jersey Devils to take the lead 3-2. And I'm sitting on Devils in regulation. I'm thinking, they're nursing this one home. They've been pretty good. Much improved defensive team all year. It looks like we're going to hang on. But sure enough, 9 seconds to go. They get the tying goal from Michael Granlund to tie it. And then Ryan Johansson, his second goal of the game, ends up being the overtime winner, 4-3 in OT, and basically snatching victory from the jaws of defeat are the Nashville Predators last night. 9 seconds from losing in regulation, and they end up coming back to win in overtime. Solid win for them, and proof that, hey, New Jersey's not going to go winning every single game the rest of the NHL season. Still been an incredibly impressive run for them, but Nashville gets the better of them 4-3 last night. Great comeback by Pittsburgh. Credit to them as well. 4-3 against Vegas, a team that didn't start off well there. Also down 2-0 in the first period, but came back after that for 4-1 in the final 2 periods. They outscored the Golden Knights, and they get a nice 4-3 win. A couple of big saves from Jari, who's had a kind of an up and down season. So to see him play well, preserve that lead, certainly should bode well for his confidence moving forward as well. Other games last night, Tampa, congrats to Steven Stamkos, a milestone night for him with that 4-1 win for the Tampa Bay Lightning last night, his 1,000th NHL point in the victory. So congrats to Steven Stamkos for that as they defeat the Flyers by a score of 4-1. Gritty stealing the spotlight a little bit too with that great sign that he held up there regarding the little reference to the Pat Maroon initiative that he did yesterday, which was a thing of beauty, by the way. Pat Maroon. You talk about responding to the Jack Edwards comments about body shaming and laughing and making comments about his size and his weight and his pounds and all that. Responding to it in a great beneficial way. Pat Maroon did that for sure. Calling on donations and awareness to mental health and all of those great initiatives, which are very important. So great job by Pat Maroon for sure for turning what was that situation with Jack Edwards into something positive. Alex, great job there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, he kind of took it. I feel like he's the guy that would take that kind of a comment in stride. Wouldn't have really, harbored too much on it. But like I said, to spin it around and make it a positive, because some people would have been offended by that if it had been said about them. And like I said, just a really, great, kind gesture and a good way to spin light on something that, a lot of people thought was pretty negative.
Yeah, no question about that. I think we've got our Friday guest joining us now on the stream. Here he is, Jimmy Murphy. Jimmy, how you been?
What's up, guys? I'm in the car. I apologize. You can't see my ugly mug, but I'm good.
Yeah, but as you would say, you're not missing much, right?
Nope.
So how was last night? Obviously, busy Thursday night of NHL action last night in the NHL. What ended up sticking out to you in terms of what took place last night?
Well, I mean, as you can imagine, I was a little glued to a football game for a bit, but that went south really fast. So I got away from that. And look, I think the one thing that sticks out to me, and it was just going through my head right before we got on here, was we got to start taking the Seattle Kraken for real. I mean, they're legit, man. And not only that, they're exciting as hell to watch. They are fun to watch. Like, I think we all looked at them based on last year. We figured maybe they'd be a little better this year, but we figured there'd be more of one of those teams that was going to just really have to scrap by, do a structured attack there, and not really score a lot of goals, just kind of, a lot of grinders, so to speak. And it's just amazing what having Matty Beniers full time has done for them, and the impact he has there. And then, they've got a whole slew of forwards that are stepping up right now, but he has just been unreal. And then the goaltending's been great. So, well, I guess not in that LA game, but, look, they're fun to watch. And I really think we got to start taking them for real. And that was the biggest thing that stood out to me. And then, I got to tip my hat also to Jake Allen, who, he's going to throw a couple of those at you here and there, man. He always has at least one gem like that a month, and I think that, look, this team is not a contender at all, but they're scrappy, and, bet against them at your own risk.
And the thing too is, Jimmy, and we were mystified. We were disappointed on the Tuesday night betcast that we did earlier this week, watching Montreal when they got shut out at home by the lowly San Jose Sharks. And we're like, geez, Montreal, they've done so many good things this year. And then here they are getting shut out at home by San Jose. What's going on here? But, I'm finally figuring out Montreal. They're going to have games like everybody else where when they're playing a little bit of a lower level opponent, maybe you're not going to get their best and you're going to get them susceptible. But it seems like when they're playing your Pittsburghs and your Calgarys, your Torontos, and some of the better teams in the NHL, you get this team's attention, Montreal, and that's when they put their best foot forward. And I didn't love the spot for Calgary, Jimmy, last night off the Kachuk Bowl, as I called it the other night, playing Florida. And sure enough, Calgary fell flat in that spot as I was worried they might.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if I'd say they were flat. I mean, they had 40. They did have chances, shots, right? Yeah. So I just say they got goalied. But that being said, I mean, I can see what you're saying. I mean, that was a total letdown game, not a good situational spot for them. But yeah, I totally agree with you on Montreal. I mean, you're right. Like, I don't have their record in front of me right now, but I bet it's a lot better against upper echelon teams than it is against the likes of San Jose or, some other crummy teams like in Arizona. I think, didn't they lose to Arizona early in the year?
They did. They lost to Columbus.
There you go. Well. So, Arizona, Columbus, San Jose, but you throw a juggernaut in front of them. I mean, I'll tell you what, I don't think they play the Bruins until mid-January, but I don't think that's any guaranteed win for the Bruins, even if they're still going like they are right now. I think that's good. Obviously, it's a rivalry game. I would stay far away from the Bruins in a Bruins-Canadiens game right now.
Yep. It's looking like the bigger the underdog price on Montreal, the more live they are to win, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what it's looked like so far, because obviously the bigger dog they are, the better opponent they're facing. And look at these wins for Montreal. Toronto, Pittsburgh twice, St. Louis, Buffalo. Some of these teams they've beaten. It's been a Calgary last night. I mean, that's a good little slew of opponents you've beaten that are above average or good. So something to keep an eye on for sure with Montreal. And you're right about Seattle. I mean, incredible. I was on Seattle. Alex was on Seattle last night. Looked like there was trouble early, down 2-0 in that game. We thought, oh, here's Washington again, going to take advantage of a team in a tricky spot off a successful, good road trip, because Washington capitalized with that against Vancouver. And I thought early in that game last night, 2-0 Washington. Oh, here we go again. Seattle, maybe bad spot, flat spot, good road trip, a little bit lethargic coming back home. But no, to find a way when you didn't have it early and rescue yourself, get it to 2-1, tie it late with Yanni Gourde, the pepper pot on the spot. What a call by John Forsland, by the way. On that. What a joy that broadcast team is, by the way. John Forsland and Edzo. One of the best in the league right now, obviously. They're both so good at their craft, and together, excellent stuff. No question. And great tying goal by Gourde, and then Beniers right off the face-off on the breakaway. He's now got 21 points, guys, 10 goals and 11 assists on the season. I mean, how's he not the front runner to win the Calder right now? Obviously. He's got to be the one.
And speaking of futures, sticking with Seattle there, guys, we got to start to consider Dave Haxtell as a Jack Adams candidate. And I would reckon that you can probably get some really good value on that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably for sure. When the guess that at the beginning of the year that he'd be in that range, but most certainly with this kind of a streak.
Yeah, so who knows? I mean, and that's the thing. I was just listening, guys, to driving down. I was making my weekly trip from Western Mass to Eastern Mass here because I got the Bruins tomorrow against Colorado, and I was listening to the Marek show, and they were saying, look, everyone's going to say, oh, Jim Montgomery and some other guys, obviously, that are really strong candidates. But if you think about it, a lot of times the Jack Adams goes to a coach that made a team in the eyes of the public overachieve.
Right.
And, what else would you call the Seattle Kraken right now? I mean, that's the perfect description right now. So, I forget who his producer is, Justin Marchese, maybe. And he's like, he's my Jack Adams right now. I'm telling you, man, he's my leading candidate. And Marek said, you know what? You're right. I mean, even though I would give it to Montgomery, I think you're right. I mean, that's kind of the typical Jack Adams Award winner is what we're seeing from Dave Haxtell right now. So if you can get on that right now, take that as a future.
Well, the guy that's the favorite right now, as I'm looking at the odds board right now for the Jack Adams, Lindy Ruff plus 200.
Right,
I mean, look at the adjustment here on him, and he's definitely.
Imagine what he was before.
Yeah, could you imagine before? And that now look at this run New Jersey's put together plus 200. Montgomery with Boston, your guy there, Jimmy, plus 600. Yeah. Cassidy with Vegas plus 800. I don't know how Gallant's at 14-1. I mean, with what we're seeing out of the Rangers so far this year. You know what is hilarious to me? It makes me wonder, like, what's going on here? Who's adjusting these prices? Who's monitoring the NHL and monitoring these awards prop categories this season? Who's changing these odds on a daily basis? Because this is a joke. This is laughable when I see what I'm about to mention here. DJ Smith of the Ottawa Senators is 22-1 to win Coach of the Year, Jack Adams at Bet365. Dave Haxtell of the Red Hot Seattle Kraken is 28-1.
That's crazy.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that? DJ Smith is 22-1 with Ottawa, who have had a miserably disappointing season so far, and Haxtell, who's just led this Kraken team to battling for first in the Pacific through the first 2 months of the season, so actually a better odds, better price, 28-1. How does that make sense?
I don't get it. I do not get it at all.
Yeah.
People watching the sport, who the hell is doing this? You got
they're going on name recognition, basically, right?
Yeah.
They're just going on name recognition, which they tend to do a lot. It's too bad. And you brought up Gallant there, Ian. I'll tell you a future I might throw money on with Gerard Gallant right now, and that's the next coach to be fired.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
No, yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not trying to insult Gerard Gallant. I think he's a great coach, but we're starting to see that pattern again with him in his second year. We've seen it in other stops that he's been in. So are you telling me he's doing a good job right now, that he's pulling all the right strings? I mean, you know what? I think he lucked out when he put Halak in the other night. I didn't like that, especially after Shesterkin called himself out and said, I need to redeem myself. Yeah. I would have threw him right back in. Yeah. And instead he goes to Halak, but he lucked out. So good on him. But I think he's in trouble, man. That Rangers team has Stanley Cup aspirations. And I'll tell you, that ownership's not going to put up with much more.
Yeah, and looking at the odds for that right now, it's funny. We're talking about Ian, how you see DJ Smith at 22-1. DJ Smith at Bet Online to be first coach fired is actually the second favorite at plus 250. Where Gerard Gallant to be coach fired 22-1. So you get some good value there if he's the first one gone.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe. Honestly, I just pulled it up a minute ago, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe DJ Smith was higher up than the Dave Haxtell. Bruce Boudreau's 25 and Haxtell's 28. Vancouver, another bad season there for them. I mean, is Don Granato doing some okay things with Buffalo? Sure, but 20-1 for him and 28 for Haxtell. This is insane. This is really amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, keep an eye on that.
Definitely.
That's pretty much what's standing out to me, guys. And I'm, obviously tomorrow I'll get to see Colorado. It's my first time seeing them in person. I think, about 3 years since before COVID. So really looking forward to seeing Cal McCarr skate around that rink in person.
No question. And I will say this: I'm looking forward to obviously that game, and obviously we'll talk about this on the Saturday show tomorrow. Although when Jimmy's on Fridays, best bet segment for him is open-ended. He can give us a best bet from tonight. He can give us a best bet from Saturday, whatever the case may be. But definitely in terms of Saturday, I am looking forward to that game, Colorado and Boston. And safe to say the biggest threat to the unblemished record on home ice for the Boston Bruins is probably coming tomorrow night. So
yeah, another one's coming Monday, boys. I don't know if you see what's ahead on Monday for the Bruins, but the return of Butch Cassidy back to Back to TD Garden. So it's almost like, and this is why I kind of like Colorado tomorrow, to tell you the truth. Everyone's looking ahead to Monday. And I'm like, how do you look ahead past the Stanley Cup champions, past the Colorado Avalanche? I mean, I would imagine the players aren't that way. I'm just talking about the media here and the fans, and that's all anyone's talking about. Like, hey, newsflash, you're playing the defending champs tomorrow. You might want to focus on that.
That should be the headliner, but given the situations and the storylines in play with Bruce returning to Boston for the first time since he was fired and now returning as the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, that has supplanted, but as crazy as it is to say, the Colorado game tomorrow night in terms of just the hype train, if you will.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like an afterthought, the second fiddle. Believe it or not, Colorado. You're right. And you've just verified that for us here compared to the Vegas and the return of Bruce coming up on Monday to Boston. So fascinating developments there. Quickly, and quick recap for the other games. Carolina 6-4 over St. Louis. Didn't Alex and I call that 5.5 there? It felt like, geez.
Yep.
Well, watch that game go over the total, because these 5.5s for some reason, they've been really going over the total, even though in theory it sets up like, hey, it should be low scoring. I kind of see what people are looking at betting an under here, but these 5.5s have really been trending to the over, and it did once again with Carolina St. Louis. Dallas shuts out 5-0. What a job by Jason Robertson, guys. Hat-trick last night. Incredible stuff. 23 goals on the season. As I said on Twitter, all you old heads know what I'm talking about. There's a new JR starring in Dallas.
Yeah.
Jason Robertson, not J.R. Ewing, not that guy. We're not talking about old stands anymore. Yeah. We're talking about and Jason Robertson is doing a hell of a job. All we're missing is the theme music. Da, 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 da. Wow, I mean, that's all we're missing.
I remember that.
I should have. Yeah, Jimmy and I definitely, and even Alex too. You all know what I'm talking about. With
who was that? Who was the woman in there that was she was a smoke show? What was her name?
Oh, I think her name was Dawn.
Oh, they always end up getting in a fight in the pools.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
Linda
Gray.
Gray,
like one of my first crushes when I first started
Linda
liking
Gray.
girls. What was it?
Played Sue Ellen, Charlene Tilton. There was a couple. Yeah, they were
a lot of
young on that show. Yeah, they did. Yeah. And Alex, thank you for pointing out, because I actually I don't know if I didn't know or forgot about it, and someone told me and I forgot. But Larry Hagman drank on the set. Yeah,
5 bottles of champagne a day. That's he's my spirit animal for sure.
Yeah, my favorite actor now. On the planet. Sounds like what I'd be doing if I was in that profession. Yeah,
right.
Want to be sitting next to him the next morning.
Yeah.
A lot of tooting going on.
Yeah. No shit. No doubt about that.
Pun intended.
But the Stars' incredible job last night.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jason Robertson. I mean, he's 23 goals now in the season, and I'm just looking at the Rocket Richard Trophy, and obviously now his odds have been significantly adjusted. He's only behind Connor McDavid now for Rocket Richard Trophy prop category here. He's plus 275 right now, Jason Robertson, to be the leading goal scorer in the NHL right now. And it's been just a terrific stretch of play for him this season. They shut out Anaheim 5-0. Florida 5-1 against Vancouver. Poor Canucks, a great road trip. You beat Vegas, you beat Colorado, you come home, you lose to Washington, who've been disappointing, and a struggling Florida team. Yep. So talking about Vancouver, just continuing to be disappointing and inconsistent. We talked about
they're going to be without Demko. Demko looks like he's gone for a while from what I heard. So
yeah, it sounds like a long term. How was that for a first period last night? You're down 3-0 and you lose Thatcher Demko to injury. That's about as bad as you could ask for in the first 20 minutes. And then Minnesota in Alex's neck of the woods there, they beat Edmonton 5-3. More problems, guys, for Jack Campbell. I mean, it's getting to the point now with him. It's just it's tough to watch. I mean, you want to root for this guy. He's a good teammate, and he's just one of these people you want to see succeed because how good a person he is, likable he is, and it's just just continues to not go his way. And Minnesota gets a 5-3 victory, and they take advantage too of a little bit of a weary Edmonton team. We talked about how they were on the East Coast. They come back for 2 home games, and then the schedule makers send them back on the road again, which is totally absurd. why I said this yesterday, Jimmy, I'll let you comment on it now. Why do you have Edmonton play Tampa, Carolina, Florida on the road, force them back home for a game or two, back to the East to play the Devils, Islanders, and Rangers, back home again for one game against Florida, and then back on the road again? What kind of schedule is that? You talk about putting a team behind the 8 ball. That's brutal.
And I could see it if it was a dual sport arena that the team played in, because you have to balance it with the NBA schedule. But that's not the case in Edmonton or in Minnesota, right? I mean, the Timberwolves play in another arena. There is no basketball team in Edmonton. So there's really no excuse to make that happen there. Like, you couldn't have just squeezed that in at the end of that previous road trip. I'll tell you, guys, I remember when I first started covering hockey, I'm going to forget his name. It's a long Greek name. I actually got to interview. I did a story with the guy who was in charge of the master scheduler that put the NHL schedule together and would work with the NHL teams and the buildings and the NBA teams and all that. And, it's fascinating. The guy doesn't have an easy job. I don't think he's still there, but I feel like in the last 5 years that it's just become asinine the way they do it. It would just be funny to kind of look, like if you did a graphic of the plane traveling all over the place on the map. I mean, you just be looking at, what is this pilot drunk? Like, what's going on? I mean, he's just going backwards. So they got to do something about that, because it definitely affects teams are losing games because of the scheduling. I'm flat. Yeah, I just said that. I'm not trying to, I know we shouldn't make excuses, but it's true. It's affecting them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's got to be some way that you can keep Edmonton, get their East Coast games done all on one trip. All right.
Yep.
That was what I wanted them. I wanted them to play Tampa, Florida, Carolina, then send them to the Northeast, get that tri-state trio done, Devils, Islanders, Rangers, then send them home and let them have at least a 4 or 5 game homestand after that.
If you can send, what was it, the Islanders last year? If you can send the Islanders, what was that, a 20-game road trip or something?
15 games.
Yeah. Okay, so if you can do that, then why can't you do what Ian just said? That makes no sense. I mean, if you can do it, it's doable, so do it.
Yep, no question. And Arizona last night, which lost to LA after a good start, I'm seeing as this road trip goes on for them, they're starting games with some energy, and we saw that early, and then they're just hitting a wall later in games.
Yeah.
And they did that again last night against.
And that goalie, I feel bad for that goalie. He's been good. He really has.
Yeah. He has. I mean, he's got, again, their team is just very thin in all areas, forward, defense. Chikrin's going to be moved out of there at some point, obviously. And you're right. I mean, it's just he's doing everything he can. I think he's played well, but you just can't overcome this. And plus, they've been on the road for a month. I mean, they've got to be weary now. Even going home for a couple days, as Alex stated yesterday after the Minnesota game, that's still ridiculous to be on the road this long while they put the dressing rooms together to be in halfway decent shape at the Mullet House. And we're waiting for that monstrosity to finally finish getting done. So yeah.
How about Bettman giving them a 30-year no move clause if they
ridiculous.
What the? Yeah. Are you insane?
It's ridiculous.
Yes,
I don't understand.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Yeah. Just it is.
But now it goes to the voters, however. So and if they see that there's going to be tax money involved, that this still may not go through exactly.
I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't either.
No, something tells me that when Gary Bettman steps down or resigns or retires, whatever, as commissioner, he's going to leave a note for the next the successor as NHL commissioner. It says, don't ensure that this franchise never leaves Arizona. Like that will be like a mandate from Gary Bettman when he's walking out the door. Don't you dare let Arizona lose their NHL. Because it's like he's obsessed with keeping them there.
And hopefully his successor, the first thing he does would be to move Arizona out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put him in Quebec.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully he takes that letter, the successor, throws it in the garbage can and says, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want. All right, let's get to the Friday card. We've got Ottawa Senators, New York Rangers. Rangers minus 180, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. I'm going to place a small bet on Ottawa. It's not something that I'd like as much as the other two games we'll talk about. And I am a little bit leery about going against the Rangers in this spot for one reason, even though they already beat Ottawa, is that this is going to be Igor Shesterkin tonight. And it's his first game after basically putting himself, in front of he's called himself to account and put the blame on him put it on his shoulders for the issues with the New York Rangers, saying, I'm playing like shit. I'm not playing well. I got to play better. And this will be his first start since he had that statement after the New Jersey loss earlier this week, because, of course, he didn't play Wednesday against Ottawa. That was Halak that night. Shesterkin in. It wouldn't shock me to see him look like Shesterkin of old tonight, play a good game. So that's the one concern here with taking this price with Ottawa. But the Rangers have some major problems. They're still loose in their own end zone with coverage. The offense has been a little bit more erratic of late, and they are getting dominated. And it's a great point by my friend Jimmy the Bag when I did his show earlier today. They're getting crushed in the faceoff circle. Like, their faceoff percentages are awful. So when you lose the faceoff, you don't have the puck. You're chasing the game. And Ottawa somehow gets outshot by the Rangers, even though they dominated the faceoff circle, which means what the fuck are you doing if you're Ottawa? You've got the puck all that time Wednesday night, and you basically don't do half as much as you should with the puck. And that explains, some of the issues they have had. We expected this to be just this high-flying offensive team, and it's been only that in fits and starts this year for the Ottawa Senators, which also explains why they've gone, believe it or not, we talked about Ottawa, this big-time over team, game to game, not lately. How about 9 straight unders for the Ottawa Senators coming into tonight? 9-0 to the under in their last 9 games. I would actually lean a little bit to the under.
I love the under tonight. I love it.
I think there's some truth to that. It's 6.5. You got to think Shesterkin, is going to play pretty well with a goalie of his caliber, coming out, making the statements he made after New Jersey. It was 3-1 the other night. It stayed under. Now, normally when it's the same two teams head-to-head, I try to go the other way and make a case for something different. Like if it's low scoring in the first meeting, go over the second, or vice versa. But I think I would still look toward this being a little bit of a lower scoring game, given that Ottawa trend and the fact I expect Shesterkin to be pretty good in net. So I'd lean under, just a tiny bet on Ottawa, just because I think there's some value in the number, and I don't trust the Rangers as this big home favorite. But definitely keep your eye on Shesterkin early. Might be a good live betting game too, because if you see Shesterkin on his game early, it might mean that he's ready to look at like that Vezina trophy winning form, Igor Shesterkin tonight. Alex, what do you think here, Ottawa, New York?
One quick thing I didn't get to mention when we were doing the recaps, I had the New Jersey and Nashville draw.
Yes,
something I mentioned now 5-8, and the 5 draws now in the last 8 meetings between those two teams. But this game, I'm right there with you with the under 6.5 at $1.05. Looking back at the history with these two teams, 19-6-5 to the under the last 30 meetings in New York.
Wow.
42-14-12 the last 68 meetings overall. So this has been an under matchup for literally the last 2+ decades. And like I said, with the current form of Ottawa right now, they're trying to make, they can't get the offense just rocking and rolling like we anticipated at the beginning of the year. Trying to be more responsible defensively because of the goaltending issue. They don't have the best goalies in the world to begin with. And then the Rangers, same kind of deal. They play a tighter style. Shesterkin, if he's back into even halfway decent form, we usually tend to see an under and a good performance from him. So 6.5 at $1.05. I think that's a great price. I think this should really be probably 20 cents more, to be honest. So I think we're getting some good value here.
VC is worth a goal prop tonight. Again, top line, he finally struck. And, we've been waiting for VC on that top line since he's been there for several games now with Zibanejad and Kreider to finally produce something, and he did against Ottawa. So he might be worth a goal prop tonight. Vitaly Kravtsov for the New York Rangers. He has been out of the lineup, came back against Ottawa finally, and now he's going to get, it looks like, the second line tonight, move up even further. So will that youngster, Kravtsov, maybe be motivated to have a good game tonight? Maybe there's some value in his goal prop as well. Jimmy, what do you think here, Senators, Rangers?
Yeah, I'm going to take that under, guys. I love it, and it just even enforces it now with what Alex said there. And you pointed out Shesterkin. I think he wants to prove something. He wants to go out there and probably, show his teammates, hey, I got your back. You're going to see an under here. And look, Ottawa, it's ironic when I was listening to you talk about how they're playing more defensive now. They're almost becoming what we thought Seattle was going to be. They're just going to, be more about scrapping, keeping the puck out of the net. And if they get some breaks here and there, an offensive break here and there, then they'll take it. So they're going to play a real safe game, I think, going forward. So you could see more unders with them.
And definitely it's been that way with the Senators, 9 straight unders, and the Rangers, are trying, I think, to get back to some level. That's really amazing how many times they've given up big goals. The blown lead to Edmonton, they gave up 5 to New Jersey, and that's the game that Shesterkin was really upset with his play. And rightfully so, because the one goal was really, it's like Shesterkin gave up that type of goal. It's just something you never ever see from him. So he wasn't happy, and this is his first chance at redemption following those comments and that rough night against New Jersey. We'll see if he's ready to bounce back. Nashville and the New York Islanders. We've got the Islanders minus 165, home favorites, 5.5 the total. Here we go again with a 5.5 here as far as the total. So for that reason, that's what I'm doing right now. When I see these games drop from 6 to 5.5, I have now seen it happened with Carolina St. Louis last night. Went from 6 to 5.5. We've seen a lot of these games find their way over the total. It's crazy. It's gone against the line move, where the games are still going over the total, even though they're betting them down from 6 to 5.5 with the total. So for that reason, now with this total dropping to 5.5, I'm going to come in with the over. Not something I love, because this does have the feel of a game that could be tight, with Sorokin expected to be in net for the Islanders tonight in this game. It looks like it should be Kevin Lankinen for Nashville, former Chicago Blackhawk, after it was Saros last night. You would think it's Lankinen tonight. Lankinen's actually been better than I expected so far this season, but is he someone that I'm willing to bank on game in and game out? Not so much, and especially in this spot with a rested New York Islanders team. They haven't played since that Tuesday night loss to the Philadelphia Flyers. 2 days off to kind of stew about that game. We've got the better team still, in my opinion, the Islanders, 15-9 overall, 8-3 at home this year. So they've played very well on home ice. I like the Islanders here in regulation. That's going to be the way I'm going to approach it. And you can get it pretty much close to even money. I know earlier today at Pinnacle, it was minus 102 to get the New York Islanders in regulation. And I think it's still pretty close to that range at the moment. Yeah, it's actually plus 108 you can get at some spots here with the Islanders in regulation. Actually, it's gotten better, the price on the Islanders in regulation at Pinnacle right now. So that's what I like here. Islanders in reg, plus 108. Bounce back here. Rest advantage. Nashville. Now, Nashville, just like yesterday, we talked about this with the New Jersey game. They've owned New Jersey. They've owned the Islanders, believe it or not, as well. So that's your one, little hang up possibly with taking the Islanders, is that series history dominance for the Predators head to head. But I still think this is obviously a scheduling spot edge for the Islanders. Off a loss to the Flyers. Expect a good game. Better game from Sorokin, who I think is probably the better goalie in net as well. Islanders bounce back here, and I still think they win this game, and I'll take them in regulation, plus 108. Alex, Predators, Islanders.
Yeah, this is the one game I'm going to pass. I like the other two spots a little bit more. Like I said, Nashville has dominated against the Islanders, and it's interesting. Some teams do well in these little pockets where we'll talk about the New York, New Jersey trip, the California trip, that Florida swing with the Carolina or Nashville tailed in. You can find some of those some of those patterns and some win patterns, and that's what we're seeing with Nashville. So it's tough to take them. Any given night they look good one night, next thing you know they look bad the next. They're very inconsistent. Kevin Lankinen has looked better, like I said, than we kind of both thought going into this year. He's kind of settled into that backup role pretty well. So I would lean toward Nashville ever so slightly if I had to play a side, but there's other spots I like more, so it's a pass.
Pass for Alex here with this one. Jimmy, what do you like here? Predators, Islanders.
Pass as well.
All right, there we go. Pass indeed in this one. Prop-wise, I don't know if there's going to be an offensive explosion tonight, but no question right now, Oliver Wahlstrom, who's becoming more famous for fighting, is producing offensively lately for the New York Islanders. But he's still on that top line. I always say he is worth a look, and it looks like they're bumping up Simon Holmstrom tonight, the New York Islanders, to that top line with Barzal and Wahlstrom. So Simon Holmstrom might be an undervalued prop option to score a goal tonight for the New York Islanders. For Nashville, we saw Granlund tie it up. Certainly Ryan Johansson had the 2-goal night last night. I would probably look more toward Parsonen again here. Granlund even, because he's moved up to the top line and he produced there. So a couple options there for the props and the goal scorers market on both sides here in this game. All right, we wrap it up with the final of the 3 games tonight, Columbus and Winnipeg. The Jets minus 200 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. I was definitely leaning Winnipeg early, and I still think they are capable of winning this game. And here's another guy, kind of like Lankinen, we just talked about for Nashville. Don't expect much from Lankinen, but he's played better than I expected. Same thing with Riddick. Don't expect much from Riddick, but the first start was brutal for him. but the last couple have been a little bit better. That being said, is he still, David Riddick, I'm going to bank on him every night to shut the door and be a brick wall in net? That is not the case, not even close. So from that standpoint, he is confirmed, by the way, in net. It feels like a good spot to get him in there if you're Rick Bowness, because, you played some tough teams, tough competition. You're playing Columbus tonight, and then you go to Anaheim Sunday. So it's a nice time to really give Hellebuck a few days to rest, and he needs it. He's faced a lot of rubber, 40 shots he faced in that 5-0, very impressive shutout win against Colorado the other night. But I like Winnipeg to score on Columbus. I still can't imagine that Winnipeg doesn't have offensive success. First of all, they've scored goals in bunches at home this year. 3 or 4 goals is what you normally get, at least from the Jets on home ice. Columbus is still ravaged with tons of defensive injuries. 4 starting defensemen remain out for the Blue Jackets. Boquist, Blankenberg, Bean, and Werenski. They're all out for Columbus. Yet they've somehow managed to hang tough and compete in a lot of these games without them. Maybe more difficult tonight on the road. And with Jonas Korpisalo in net, not Tarasov. Because Tarasov's been flat out better than Korpisalo in recent games. But they're going with Korpisalo, 3-4, 3.76 goals against average, .899 save percentage. So he hasn't been very good, below average so far this year for the Jackets. Korpisalo will get the start in net here. Like we mentioned, Riddick for Winnipeg. I was initially going to look toward the Jets team total over 3.5 and only that in this game, over 3.5 minus 124 for the Jets team total. But I'm not only going to bet that, but I'm also going to split it between that and the full game over. Now that we have a confirmation of David Riddick in net, over 6.5 minus 110, as I do believe the Jackets now, the door is open for them to score a few goals tonight, possibly. Not just because of Riddick being in net, but even though the Jets have played very well defensively lately, you played Colorado, Dallas, you played some really big games. Now you got lowly, battered and bruised, injury-riddled, struggling Columbus coming into town. And this could be a night where that defense is not quite as intense or airtight. Maybe a little loose tonight. Maybe a little lackadaisical on the back end for the Winnipeg Jets, given the spot. So I think that combined with Riddick in net, and you could make a case for the Jackets being able to find the back of the net at least a couple of times tonight. So Winnipeg team total over 3.5 minus 125, and also Columbus Winnipeg over 6.5 minus 110 for me in this game. Alex, Jackets, Jets.
Yeah, to our friend in the chat, Chris Otto, I got to give you the old not so fast, my friend. He's looking at first period under. I'm looking at first period over. David Riddick and his starts going back to last year with Nashville, 13-3 to the first period over. This season, 2-2 with the 2 games that did go under. There was 1 goal, and there were plenty of power play chances in both of those contests. I think we're going to see a lot of action up and down here. I love that first period over. You're only laying $1.40 right now if you shop around with the 1.5. If you see anything higher, wait and grab it in game. I also would look to grab over 6.5 right now. That's near even money price for the over in the full game as well. I think we're going to see goals back and forth. Korpisalo and Riddick is not a matchup that's going to be a whole lot of shutdown defense.
All right, so liking that first period over here, Jackets and Jets for Alex P. Smith. Again, that's around there's 145 to minus 150 with that in terms of the juice. So make sure you shop around for the best of the price there with Columbus, Winnipeg over 1.5 in the first period. Jimmy, how about you here? Columbus, Winnipeg.
I'm going to piggyback on both of you guys. I really didn't have much of a feel for this game, but I like the first period over, and I like the team total over for the Jets.
Yeah, they have definitely been good scoring goals on home ice. When you're putting up 5 on Colorado, you're doing something right off it. You know what's amazing, too? And we got to give Rick Bowness a shit ton of credit. Okay, nobody saw the Jets being this good this year. And I know some people in Dallas, there's a guy, Nathan Smith. He was on some of our betcasts last year. Big Stars fan. He couldn't wait to see Rick Bowness hit the road in terms of not being the coach there anymore. But he's done a nice job. The dressing room looks a lot more harmonious. There's a lot more camaraderie. A lot of those bad vibes have been cleared away. They've played a much better team game, and the top players for the Jets are playing like it. Kyle Connor, Pierre-Luc Dubois has been outstanding. Blake Wheeler, what a resurgence for him this year. He looks like a totally different player. He looks like he's feeling it again. He's totally comfortable. I wasn't sure Blake Wheeler would accept having the captaincy removed from him, but look at the way he's played. I mean, hat trick. He's been better offensively. It's been good on all areas of the ice. They're getting some of the youngsters stepping up for the Jets as well. Scheifele's been good, but Josh Morrissey's having a breakout year. This could be the season for Morrissey, and I think he's worth a look from a prop standpoint tonight. How do you not take Josh Morrissey to score a goal right now? He's gotten 4 goals in the last 6 games for the Winnipeg Jets, all from the blue line. You can still get an absolutely terrific price on him to score a goal tonight at several books. Bet365 alone has him at plus 350 to score a goal tonight. So Josh Morrissey, this could be that season where he goes from good defenseman to potentially, bordering on great defenseman, because he's really becoming more of an offensive-minded difference maker. He's always been one of the better defensemen that the Jets have had the last 2 years, but he's taken his game to another level, and credit to him.
Yeah, he has. You know what? And I want to go back to what you said about Bonus there. And a lot of places he goes to, and I remember Rick Bonus from way back. I'm showing my age, but he took a Boston Bruins team in the 91-92 season. They had no Cam Neely. They were missing Adam Oates for a while. They had some other injuries. Bork was in and out, and he took them to the conference final against the mighty Pittsburgh Penguins. And the Penguins ended up sweeping them, and then they went on to beat the Blackhawks in the Cup final. But they swept the Canadians on home ice, and that's probably one of my greatest memories growing up, watching that game and being there. He overachieves wherever he goes, and the players love him. So I don't know why that guy wanted him out of Dallas so fast. I mean, even when you talk to the players right now in Dallas, they still miss him. They still praise him and say, "Look, this guy was great for us. He came in at the right time." And it is what it is. But I mean, I've never heard a bad thing from anyone about Rick Bonus.
Actually, his press conferences are not bad. Actually, they're he's got that like gravelly, raspy type voice when he's talking. Rick Bonus, and he's actually pretty funny. It's like when he was criticizing the referees in the Dallas game, which was absurd. That with Hellebuck lost his goalie mask and they didn't blow the play down, and Dallas scored on the play. He's like, "I'm as confused as anybody." He says, "No shit, just join the club." We don't know. Like they blew it dead when Ottinger in that game lost his goalie pad, which is obviously not as harmful to your, physical well-being as losing your goalie mask and the play continuing. And yet they didn't blow it dead when Hellebuck lost his goalie mask in that same game. So no wonder he was frustrated. Where's the consistency? And he's done a great job. There's no denying that whatsoever. So I like Morrissey from a goal scorer prop standpoint. Columbus, there's a good night probably with Riddick and net to take a look at some props with them. The big news for the Jackets here is the fact that Laine has been activated from injured reserve, so he's back. He's missed the last 7 games
in Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg, you're reading my mail, Jimmy. Against his former team, back on that top line spot tonight with Johnny Gaudreau. Yeah, back on that top line spot with Johnny Gaudreau as well, and Boone Jenner. He'll be on that top line with those two. I think it's a good prop. I like Kent Johnson as well. I think he's definitely been impactful. He's getting more ice time now on the second line for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He scored 2 goals in the last 4 games. Kent Johnson is going to be a nice offensive player in this league for the Blue Jackets. So that's a good prop. And like I said, Morrissey for Winnipeg. And I'm trying to see, I think there was one more that I was targeting for the Jets. Let's see. Oh, Perfetti and Barron. 2 young guys. Barron's on the top line with Dubois and Connor. He's going to get opportunities. Didn't score the other night, but had chances. Morgan Barron, Cole Perfetti. I'd probably look at some goal props involving those 2 guys right now as well. So it's a good prop game because we do think there's going to be some goals between the Blue Jackets and the Jets tonight. All right, that's the Friday card. Thanks to everyone on YouTube for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it. And a reminder, check out patreon.com/Ice Guys. Just $10 per month. Our daily Ice Guys show betting card is there. Goalie charts, totals charts, and a whole lot more. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 a month. And as Alex is about to mention, check out our Ice Guys store as well.
Yeah, absolutely. iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Still got a few days left to get free shipping. That's standard shipping and 15% off everything in the store. So we got shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got caps, we got mugs, we got everything. Get all your holiday shopping done with us at the Ice Guys store.
Absolutely. And Jimmy Murphy, check out his work, bostonhockeynow.com. Check out all the team sites at nationalhockeynow.com. I do every day honestly, because it actually helps the handicapping. It does, because you get tidbits and you get people covering these teams morning, noon, and night that are putting out articles with information that you may not find anywhere else. So make sure you're checking out nationalhockeynow.com. They keep adding more team sites to the network by the week, by the month. And Jimmy is part of that with the Boston Bruins coverage on bostonhockeynow.com. How's work going, Jimmy? I'm sure you're keeping busy.
Yeah, everything's great, man. It's going well. We're getting in the media season. I just I got to nail down a place to live a lot closer to the rink because these rides are killing me. But other than that, things are good.
All right, awesome stuff. So check out Jimmy's work too, bostonhockeynow.com. All that there, great stuff. And like I say, a lot of great team websites there for great hockey content. All right, best bets to wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, we're going to go with that. Winnipeg, Columbus, that first period over 1.5. Like I said, even at $1.45, that would be my cutoff. Anything higher, just wait a few minutes and grab it in game. But that's definitely a good spot. Riddick, 13-3, dating back to the last season in 16 starts. That's not even counting games where he's actually come in early in the first period because of injuries and still gave up a goal or ended up being where it was a 2-goal game in the first period. So we'll go CBJ and the Jets. First period over 1.5, minus $1.45. That's my best bet for Friday night.
Right. There it is. Blue Jackets and Jets over 1.5 first period. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Jimmy Murphy, best bet for you can be anything. Could be a game from tonight, or you could go look ahead to Saturday for your best bet. What do you like?
I'll stick with tonight, and I'll take that under in the Rangers Senators.
All right, there we go. Under 6.5, minus 110, Ottawa Senators, New York Rangers. Best bet for Jimmy Murphy. My best bet for this card, I'm going to go New York Islanders in regulation, plus 108 at Pinnacle. Best price there. Great spot. Bounce back time for the Islanders. Sorokin is the number one goaltender in the NHL right now in terms of goals saved above average. That is how good he's been. Hasn't been confirmed in net, but I would certainly anticipate him being in net. I think the Islanders bounce back, and I think Nashville might bounce the other way after a huge, stunning comeback win against New Jersey last night. So Islanders in regulation, plus 108 for my best bet here for this Friday NHL card. And Alex pointing out in our chat that Dave Hackstall is even better in terms of the odds and price at Caesars Sportsbook for the Jack Adams, 33-1.
That's literally the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going home Monday to Chicago. As soon as I land in Illinois, I'm getting the Caesars account, and that's the first thing I'm betting.
You should not be 33-1. Whether he wins it or not, we're talking about betting prices. We're talking about betting numbers. With that Seattle team playing like they are right now and where they are in the standings, he cannot be 33-1 odds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He cannot be to win the Jack Adams. Simple as that. That's a jackass line right there on, for Dave Hackstall to win the Coach of the Year as the Jack Adams winner. So great find there by Alex. Jimmy, final thoughts from you since we're not going to hear from you until next Friday. Just some final words. Anything you want to say?
No, I think like you said earlier, it's going to be a fun game I'll be at tomorrow. There's a lot of good games in the slate. So everybody enjoy the hockey, enjoy your weekend, and stay safe.
Absolutely. What a weekend for Jimmy, these next two games that he gets to cover, the Avs and the Golden Knights coming into Boston. So what a few days it's going to be covering the Bruins for the scribes in Beantown, including our own Jimmy Murphy. Great stuff. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you tomorrow, Saturday, noon Eastern, for a massive Saturday card on the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.